Elegant, stylish. Smells so good. Fill the room with love, peace, joy. But that smell. A smell so good you can taste it. Now, the all-new Sense by J.O.
What's good, everybody? This is your girl, Kimberly Gunn, and I'm rocking with Timeless Sounds.
It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now, yeah.
Here, rocking it with Timeless Sounds, man.
Don't never, ever, ever wanna calm down. No, no,
What's up, bro?
What up, my brother? How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm laughing because that candle video was dope.
What?
I know, Julie, I love that candle video.
Oh yeah, so shout out to Julie. Hey, I want to, we wanted to do something, for the dedicated, listeners, watchers. And my sister is definitely a dedicated listener. She's a dedicated watcher every time. So, I think we're gonna take it up just a little bit. But how you feel, man?
Man, I'm good, man. I can't complain,
Brother.
COVID.
I got it.
So hey, I'm
testify. So check it. Look, I got a story to tell, man. So for those of you out there, I know the Delta variant is running rampant, and guess what? Your boy had COVID.
Wow.
Oh Lord, I had COVID, man. But I, thank God, his mercy endures. I wasn't in the hospital or anything like that. But the funny thing is, man, the way I am right now, bro, that's how I was with COVID, because I didn't know I had COVID. Check out.
I remember from the last episode we had, you was like, man, I'm coming down with something. It's not COVID.
Look, I looked at the other episode, the last one, and I was like, oh man, I kind of alluded to a little something there. So check out what happened, y'all. And look, please share this video. We have a very special guest. But before we get into the guest, so I'm just chilling, man. And my wife and I, we sleep with the ceiling fan running. And usually sometimes, I get like sore throats because the wind, the air from the fan kind of goes down your mouth. Right. And so I woke up, a Thursday morning with a slightly sore throat, and I could tell like, oh, this one ain't going away, because when I swallow, it kind of like it irritates me. So I'm like, okay, let me just drink tea, do my normal routine. Let me take some meds, and I did that. And by Saturday, that joint was gone. Right, no more irritation. I was like, all right, cool. I just had a little slight cough.
Yeah,
and that slight cough, right? It didn't bother me. I was fine with it, because when I coughed, I could feel it breaking up, the mucus that was trying to form like in my chest and
Yeah.
whatnot. And so, long story short, my wife was on me like, "Yo, you should go get tested for COVID." I'm like, "COVID? Like this is like a little cold, you know?" I go get tested. Them jokers came back. Oh, it's positive. I was like, "You got COVID?" I was like, "I do." I was
Wow.
like, okay." And it's like, "Yeah, when did you have your first symptoms?" I was like, on a Thursday. And look, I went to get tested like 7 days later on a Thursday. So the Thursday I woke up that morning,
Yeah.
the following Thursday, I went and got tested and they said I had COVID. They said I had like 6 or 7 days. So they're like, "Oh, the worst is behind you now." I was like, "The worst is behind
Wow.
me?" I was like, I didn't even, this was like a little cold for me, but like, praise God to, just going through it and just, gave
Yeah.
me some time to just be by myself, man, and
Wow.
work on music. And speaking of music, we got a very special guest. And so I want everybody share this video, get your questions
Please
ready
share
because
it.
I know you
Yeah.
got it. I know you got it. We got the man, the myth, the legend, the one who makes it happen. If you see all these artists, all the independent artists that's out there that's like shouting out this guy, Mr. Tony D. Tony D. I heard of this guy through James Patterson. I'm like, who's Tony D? Who's Dallas Frazier? Who's this guy? Right? But you see him everywhere. You see artists shouting him out, giving him high praises because he deserves that for what he does. He's out of he's from New York, but he's in Augusta, and he's a radio personality. I believe he's a radio programmer or a program director. Um, None only than the Mr. Tony D himself, Dallas Frazier. Let's give it up for the man, Mr.
What's
Tony D. What's up, brother?
what's up, fellas? How you doing?
What's up, brother?
Hey, man,
Man, we
God is
living life.
good, brother.
Hey,
Hey, look.
I'm gonna send you a check for that sterling uh, intro you gave me.
Hey, Tony, look, Tony, you deserve it though, man. You deserve it, man. All the stuff. I know people see you out there, man, what you doing, man. All the stuff you
Be
you just
working.
do, but just yeah, you working, man. But I know I said whatever I said, but why don't you formally introduce yourself to this audience?
Well, I want to say thank you. It's an honor to be on with you guys, man. I really love what you do. I love your music, love your production. So I'm humbled that you thought it not robbery, as they say in church, to ask me to come on. My my name's Dallas Frazier, but everybody calls me Tony D on the radio. Everybody say, "Where you get Tony D? Tony from?" Well, my middle name is Anthony. I took the Tony from Anthony. I took the D from Dallas, and that's where you get Tony D. But
Wow.
I am the music director of WAW Shop 94.7 in Augusta, Georgia. We cover Aiken, South Carolina,
Woohoo!
all the way down to from almost Lexington, South Carolina, all the way down to some lower parts of Georgia. I'm the co-owner of C Stage Internet Radio with my business partner Tim Lynn Atkins. I own Christian Sounds Entertainment, which is the company that we do radio promotion, artist development, basically a one-stop shop for artists. We do a lot of branding for artists and things like that. And I just have a passion for helping independent artists get exposure. And it's what I've been doing for over 17 years.
Wow.
Man, 17 years is a
Wow.
definitely you're not a new spring chicken at this, man. So
Right.
tell the audience and tell us, like, how did you even get into this world of broadcasting anyway? Where was your start?
So I used to DJ. I used to DJ in the club, right? And
Oh, snap.
yeah, I used to be cutting and scratching, and I got saved and I walked away from the club right in the middle of a gig. I just like I couldn't keep on doing
Ooh.
it anymore. So the DJ was the owner of the club was like, "You'll never DJ in this city again." Well, I am DJing, just not for you, brother. So I used to make mixtapes and mix CDs for my friends and give them to them, and I would be talking like I was on the radio, and they was like, "Yo, you on the radio?" I was like, "Nah, it was always my dream to be on the radio." So I was in a barbershop, and I happened to hear the program director and the morning show host of what was at the time Rejoice, it's now Shout, and I was like, "Yo, I recognize that voice." So I found him, and I was like, "Hey," I introduced myself. I said, "I want to be on the radio." He was like, "Yeah, right. You don't want to be on the radio." I was like, "No, for real, I do." He said, "Well, if you want to be on the radio, come tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. and help me do the morning show." So I was there at 6 a.m., helped him do the morning show. And he was a character to deal with. Everybody said if
Oh,
you could deal with this gentleman, then you really want to be on the radio. But I held
Wow.
in and started interning, started filling in when they weren't able to make it or on vacation or what have you. And then the rest is history. I actually was the host of a show, a co-host of the show called the New Artist Showcase. It was a 30-minute segment that they
Mm.
had that featured local artists. And then when that host decided they were going to go to another station, I became the main host, and then it became an hour broadcast, and then it went to 2 hours, and then eventually at one point it was 3 hours. And
Wow.
I took the name and flipped it to New Artist Profile. I branded that, so I own it. And now the New Artist Profile is on 27 stations across the world.
Wow.
man.
Tony. So Tony, I want you to let the people know, and while we're on the new artist profile, I want every artist, every inspiring artist, if you're an artist, tag another artist,
Please do.
you want to listen up to this man as he speaks right now. Tony, why don't you explain to the people what a programming director is, what they do, and how does that go hand in hand, especially with new artists?
Well, program director and a music director sometimes hold the same position, but I'm actually the music director. I have a program director at the station, but the program director actually is the director of the programming for the station. So if you have
Mm,
syndicated broadcasts, local sermons, and things like that, they make sure that there's time for those slots, make sure that they're programmed into the system, and they oversee the programming of the station. The programming the station does mean music as well. So a lot of times the program director and the music director are the same. But
mm,
we happen to have a luxury at Shout where I'm the music director and Miss Donna Moore Wesby is the GM and the program director. But basically, I oversee all the music that goes on the air. We make sure that we have music that's going to be a blessing to the listening audience because we're a 24-hour gospel radio station. So it's our job to inspire people as they are listening whenever they listen throughout the 24-hour day. So yeah, we I have an obligation to play some of the national artists and the label artists, which they are all dropping some great music.
mhm.
So many of the names that you already know, probably saw a lot of them winning awards last Sunday at the Stellars.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
but then also we have an opportunity where we can highlight some of the independent artists such as yourself, Gabriel,
Yeah,
and some
man.
of the artists that might be on. So yeah, we do it's a strategic strategy of how to incorporate the label national artists and the independent artists so that we can still give a fresh sound to the radio station.
Man, as a music
Wow.
director, um, what do you look for when it comes to music and your particular demographic, your station, your listening audience? What do you look for as a music director?
Well, my area here in this area is very traditional, and they're breaking away from that a little bit, but they're basically a traditional station. So we, they love quartet, they love choir and things of that nature. But the music industry is going in a different direction. So I still try to try to incorporate a little bit of everything. But listening to music, man, for me, uh, I'm a musician. I play bass. I've been playing bass since I was 10.
Oh,
And
wow.
I haven't been playing too long because I'm only 20. So, but I've been playing bass for a long time. So I'm used to good music, quality music, and production and things like that. So production is really important to me. Um, Sound quality because we have to have good sound going over the airwaves uh,
Mhm.
as it transitions into people's car radios or home stereos or whatever they're listening on. The next thing you got to have a song that's talking about Christ. If you're a gospel artist and you don't got no song that's uplifting Christ and helping somebody to change their life or possibly bring them to Christ,
Yeah,
then I'm like, yo, we can't play that. I need an encouraging message or something in there. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and then there's a lot of other dynamics too, but those are the really important ones. You got to have a great song, got to have great production. You got to be able to sing. A lot of music that I get artists, they
Talk about it.
I'm gonna just be real. They don't have it.
It ain't
They
there.
they they need to be maybe songwriters.
Mm, mm.
Everybody's not a singer, but you might be an amazing songwriter, and those are the ones that really get the the money at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
even you might not be a great rapper, but you could be a ghostwriter for a rapper. I mean, so but yeah, when we're looking at music, man, it's got to be good quality, got to be uplifting Christ. And there's a whole lot of other dynamics. Time, length is important for radio. We get
Yeah.
a lot of music that's too long for radio. Introductions may be too long. So
Yeah.
it's a lot into it. So I listen to on the average in a week, man. I'm listening to like 50 to 60 songs a week to
Woo.
program for WAW, the program for C Stage, and the program for the new artist profile. So
Wow.
sometimes I'm musiced out, brother.
Wow.
I feel you. So
So
go ahead, Jay.
speaking of, you talked about the length of the song. How long should a song be when they submit it to you?
Man, back in the day, man, Mississippi Mass Choir and all those Walter Hawkins used to give you those 12-minute songs. They was, but really now you're looking at no more than 3 minutes and 40 seconds, and that's probably stretching it. But there again, you play with the envelope because you have some of the national artists that's dropping music that's 4:25, maybe pushing it a little bit.
Mhm.
But the average is a good 3 minutes, 3:25, 3:45. When I tell an artist to do a radio edit, I say no longer than 3 minutes and 45 seconds. Because you know all of that's important to an hour clock. We have on radio, you have 60 minutes to do a lot. Play
Yeah.
music, you have to play sponsorships, you have to do public service announcements, you got to do a whole lot in 60 minutes. So we
Mhm.
want to try to get a certain amount of songs in and do everything else we have to do on stations. So yeah.
Gotcha.
And I'm glad you said that too. That is a radio mix. And I was going to ask the question like, hey, what's the difference between a regular, mix and a radio mix? That is a part of a radio mix, like dialing back your time and making
Yes.
sure you have it radio ready or in that time frame. Now if you are a big name artist, you could probably get away with a 4 minute and 30 second song
Yeah, yeah.
because the name draws. And Tony knows this, being at a radio station, depending on the type of station you're at, what they say, we got to pay the bills. You
Right.
got to get those
Pay your
sponsorships in because
dues.
they paying money for that. And that's how that's one way the radio station makes money. Tony, does your radio station play rap music? Now I know the answer to this, but tell our audience, because I know we got a lot of rap heads listening. And rap right now, rap is kind of, I know in the gospel world, you have like your traditional gospel, you got your quartet stuff, and that's kind of the thing that's popping, at least in the South. But rap is kind of trying to make its way, in that number to be kind of one of the ones that's played and be an attraction for a radio station. Does your station play rap?
Yes, my station plays rap, but again, it goes back to what I said initially that I'm in a traditional area.
Yeah,
My station is birthed on quartet, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but we have specialty shows that play rap. For instance, we have the Big Red Radio Show. He does a lot of R&P and CHH music. We have a show on Saturday evenings where a young brother comes in. He does rap, and I play rap on a new artist profile. But what the advice I give to rappers who may want to have their music on uh, uh, those reporting stations to possibly get spins on the gospel airplay chart is to do what you did, Gabriel. I'm gonna use this week as a prime example. Now
Go ahead, brother.
I know that you probably can get grimy with the Christian hip hop. I know you can really get down and really spit, you know what I'm saying, some heavy duty stuff. But gospel radio stations are probably not going to gravitate to that. All right,
Exactly.
there's an audience for that. So
Mm.
what you did is you had a very great message with this year. You had a phenomenal vocalist with Regina Skeeters,
Yeah.
and y'all intermingled each other's gift and talent so seamlessly till I was able to play that. And I'm gonna tell you this, and I don't know if I told you before, that I've had seniors call in and request that song
Oh wow,
for
wow.
Wow.
real. Yeah, I've had seniors say,
Wow.
Tony D, I remember something about this week, this day, this something. I was like, you talking about this year? yeah, the one with the girl singing on it, so and you've had success. I've seen your song has been played on radio stations across the country. So I love hip hop. I'm from Hollis, Queens, New York. I
Yes,
used to
sir.
go to school with LL Cool J. I was, lived down the street from Run DMC, all of them cats back in the day. So I
Mecca.
love hip hop. But my thing is, if you're going to be a Christian rapper, I'm not trying to take you away from your true essence of who you are as a rapper. But if you're trying to get on radio, you're going to have to, for the lack of a better term, dumb it down a little bit. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And give radio what's appealing to them. And then what's going to happen? That song is going to drive them to want to go hear your other music. And the other music is where you got your banging, head banging stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Tony, that's so important, man. I'm glad you brought that up, man, because I know a lot of rap cats, because I was born and raised in the church, and I'll say this really quick to add to your point. With radio and with church, rap seems to be hard. Gospel rap, let me clarify. Gospel rap seems to be a little more challenging to be accepted by our Christian churches and our Christian. And I understood why, because I'm a musician. I'm a music producer. I've been into music for a long time. When I see rappers come in and they what I wanted to do is make music where a band could play it, right? And so it's like, okay, I can go to any church and say, "Hey, man, listen to this music. Can your band play this? You got a guitar player. Can you jump on this?" And that way, it's a little bit more accepted by, especially because you got to look at your audience and who you performing to. And if that's all you have, at least if the band is playing it, it's gonna take away all the stigmas that older folks and church folks looks at when they think about sound. If you hear 808, oh, that's the devil. That's, what I'm saying. If you hear certain sounds, it's kind of like they don't like that. And the same thing with radio, with gospel radio stations like your station, that's more of quartet bass. Hey, man, how can you take maybe a quartet lick and then put a rap on top of that and make the beat something that the radio can accept? Like you have to kind of think creatively to do that. And so, man, Tony, I really appreciate you, brother, because it's because of you and people like Jason that really took that song
Shout out to
and
you.
just, oh man, it just threw it around. So big shouts to you, man. So I'm so happy that you were able to get on with us tonight. So people, if you have questions, please drop your questions in the comments. Please drop your questions for Mr. Tony D. This man has been behind a lot of independent artists that you see, JP, Mr. Patterson, everybody you see. Tony, I see you posting something like 4 or 5 times a day, bro. New artists.
Yeah.
I'm like, golly.
Yeah.
This
yeah.
man is crazy, man. So that's big shouts to you.
Thank you.
Tell us something with the massive boom of like the internet and things like that. And this is for the independent artists. How can they use that, as well as use a tool like you? Because see, I know you're on the radio, but you also help folks like myself in spreading that
Promoting.
sound and spreading your music. How can they take advantage of something like that? What's the avenues that they should know as an independent artist, how to get their music out there?
Well, I want to, not saying being boastful, but I think my show is one of the longest running independent artist shows. I was doing independent artists when it wasn't popular.
Yeah.
And so I always accept music and review music for the show. But I tell artists, man, just do your research. Do your research on radio stations, internet and terrestrial. Find out what station would gravitate to the style of music you are. You might not do hip hop. You might be you might be quartet, or you might be a art rhythm and praise singer. Gravitate. Check out those stations. Do your research on the stations, and then become familiar with the people who run the stations. This is one of my major pet peeves, is that when people send me their music and I ask them, well, have you ever listened to any of my platforms? And they tell me no. And usually I don't respond back to them. It's because so I'm gonna enroll my son into a college, and I'm just gonna send him to college the first day of college.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know nothing about the curriculum, don't know no history of the college, don't know Nothing. I'm just going to send them because yeah, it looks nice over there. I think I'll send them there. No, you got to find out what type of music a station plays or a show plays. Listen and develop relationships. Relationships take you so much further sometimes than finances. Relationships is like grace, right?
Mm.
Grace is a relationship that we
Wow.
have, unmerited favor, right? So if you develop a relationship, then that's grace with that individual. For instance, you guys can come to me and excuse me, I just hit my phone. You guys could come to me and ask me anything because we've developed a relationship. You supported
sir.
my brand, and so that's grace, right? So you got to develop those relationships, and don't just hit up a radio show host and start asking them for stuff right away. You know what I'm saying? you know, build a relationship. Sometimes I talk to people just to find out what they do, who they are. I don't even ask them for anything. Yeah, I would like for them to play my artist's music, but I don't hit them off that right away. I want to find out a little bit more about you. You know what I'm saying? So I think those keys are very important. And the reason why that's important to an independent artist is because we're going to play Byron Cage music because it's Byron Cage.
That's right.
We're going to play Kurt Franklin's music because it's Kurt Franklin. We're going to play Jacqueline Carr because we're going to play Tamela Mann and on down the list, Jonathan McReynolds, Todd Delaney. But we may not play Gabriel O'Reed.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So you got to develop those relationships and put your foot in the door.
Wow.
Brother. Go ahead, Jay.
Go ahead, because we had a question from an audience from my
Go ahead, Jay.
Shout out to Pierre. What's up, Pierre? How you doing, man? He had a question. He said, how would you break down master as an acronym to relate to being a master of your craft?
Boy, Pierre. That's your floor is yours, Tony.
Yeah, man.
Repeat that.
Let me get my anointing oil for that answer.
Shout out to Pierre Wooten. Good friend.
Shout out to Pierre,
college, man.
Well, while you think about that, Tony, we do have a break coming up here in about a minute. So when we come back after this break, guys, I wanted us to get into something Tony just said, or he kind of alluded to, and that's finances. Finances. We need to talk about that money. As an independent artist, do you need money? Right? Can you barter a little bit? So we're gonna talk about that after this break, y'all. Tony D.
I really enjoy meeting people from all different walks of life. I love hearing their stories. I love hearing about what's important to them. I love hearing about their children. I love hearing about their families and really learning how they live their lives, and which really does make real estate the perfect career for me. If you are looking for a realtor that really will take the time out to listen to you and hear you and understand your needs and wants, then the Rose Gold Group really is for you. That's our goal, to really provide you with the premier real estate experience.
And we are back. So please share this video. We got some great information, great gems being dropped by Mr. Tony D, Mr. Dallas Frazier. So before the break, we was talking and Tony mentioned something about finances. Now, I want all the inspiring and aspiring artists to listen up. There's a certain thing what they call like paying your dues, right? You ever heard that term? Hey man, you gotta pay your dues, man. And as a younger person, when I used to hear this term, I would think of like, yeah, man, I gotta grind, man. I gotta put the work in and I gotta be in there. And I learned that it doesn't only mean that. It actually means literally paying your dues. Like you have to pay money to be able to push a song, just one of your songs, or to push some type of album, because you have different avenues of putting your things out, right? Like DistroKid or CD Baby, TuneCore, whatever avenue you choose, right? To do it digitally, it costs some money. You're going to need to think about that ahead of time. And if you want to get your stuff on the radio, like with Mr. Tony D, hey man, you need a budget. You need something to be able to push your music further than what you could just put it out there and just like hoping and praying that it's going to go. Tony, can you allude to the types of things that an artist may have to face or may have to deal with in terms of finances, besides like paying a producer or something like that to make the music, besides going to the studio and having a cost to do it professionally? What else would they have to do that may cost them some money to get that song out there with radio stations too?
So first, let me say that commercial y'all played while we went to break was off the chain. Yeah, y'all need to have this on BET or TV One or something. This is for real. This is the truth. But
Thank you, man.
So I always tell artists this. Like I always get artists that have great music, and I ask them if they have a budget, and they say no, I don't have anything. So I give the analogy of a business, because you are a business. Now we know that it's the gospel, and we understand that aspect of it. All right. But there is a business behind it as well. And so I tell artists that they need to prepare like a business would prepare to open their doors to gain patrons. All right. So you don't see businesses just they get a building and they fry up some chicken and they just open the doors. No, that has been planned for years before they even, have one person come in and sit down and say, "Can I have some chicken wings?" You don't see Nike just throwing out a pair of sneakers. Oh yeah, that was dope. Design that. We're gonna put it out. No, they game plan for years. So I think the artists need to game plan. Creating for an artist is easy. I think either that should be the very first thing you do, and you put it on the shelf, and then get your game plan together, or it should be the last thing. But to answer your question, you need to think about, off the top of my head, you need to have good graphics. All right. You need to have good photography. You need to have a great music video. You need to have a stylist. You need to have a good PR company. You need to have a good radio promoter, right? You need to, all of these things that you might not think that you need, you do need it, because Tamla Mann has a stylist. Tamla Mann has a radio promoter. His name is Damon D. Stewart. Tamla Mann has all of the things now. Yes, she has. Well, no, I think she's actually independent now. But speaking of being independent, thank you, Holy Spirit. Gabriel Ory is independent.
Yes, I
am. But you have to act as you're a label. So everything that a label will provide for an artist that they don't have to worry about, they just go ahead and create this music. You have to think about it. So you have to think about radio promotion budget. You have to think about top-notch photography. I'm not talking about your cousin Jan who got a nice new iPhone or something like that.
Yeah.
Professional photographer. You got to get somebody who can do professional music videos like yourself or like myself or others out there. Those are the things you have to game plan for. Then travel expenses, right? Because you're going to have to travel around to promote this single. You have to go to radio stations and do radio tours, right? So yes, you're going to have to. All of those things is what you need, And I don't think that people think that through when they get this epiphany from God that I'm going to write this song.
I wonder if they think. I know some artists probably think times that they think the song is dope. Oh, it's about to be the #1 hit on the chart.
Oh man, please. So that's what happened. That's another reason how I was end up doing independent artists, because I'm with a group. I used to play bass for a group here in Augusta called named For Christ, and they still sing. I kind of act as their manager, and we came out with our first song, Show the World. And I went to the radio station. I'm thinking, hey, everybody knows us, you know. Hey, I'm gonna come and try to get a song on the radio. Psych, and that wasn't happening. You know what I'm saying? You know, so yeah, but artists, you really need to budget, but and you have to think of creative ways to get your finances together, because if you are expecting your career to be financed by your 9 to 5 job, your music career is going to fail. Because if you need a hot water heater or some tires for your car, and you need to pay to get pay for a showcase, unless you're very, very dedicated, you're gonna get that hot water heater or tires. You know what I'm saying? So if you're depending on your paycheck from your job, which a lot of people do, to fund that, you're gonna fail. You have to think of creative ideas. I work with an artist whose name is Timothy Sims from right here in Aiken, South Carolina. Single entitled Destiny. He's paid for my services and other services off of T-shirt sales. He's branded his new single Destiny. His group is his project is Destination Next. He's selling Destination Next T-shirts. He had his own concert a couple of weeks ago. He sold vendor tables, all that stuff. All that stuff is going back into his project and what it takes to get his song to where it needs to be. So you have to think of creative ideas. Now, the next question the person might ask me, well, Tony, how much money you need? I don't know.
How far you want to go?
I don't exactly. I had an artist that I was working with, Dawn Thompson, and we worked one single, and I don't want to tell all our business, but it was in the double digits of thousands. I'll say that much. And that's from travel, photography, video, production, radio promoting, everything, right? So yeah, I mean, and he's right. And your song is not just going to hit the charts. It's not going to be accepted right away, unfortunately, because you're an independent artist. And that's one of the things I advocate on these clubhouses. Like, you know, when you have these clubhouses, I think they're all great. All right, so don't get me wrong. I'm not, you know, they have there's so many clubhouses that oversee songs and for the lack of a better term, critique. I don't like to say critique songs, but they listen to songs and give advice, you know, but at the end of the day, hopefully that those clubhouses are doing something to help those songs get on the radio. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But yeah, man, it's the budget is important. If you don't have a solid budget before you even put anything out, man, it's gonna fall apart. And then two, this is another thing: patience. Me and my business partner Timbaland Atkins, we talk to our artists about this all the time. Patience. You don't, just because you created this song and it's completed, don't mean you got to put it out next week.
Exactly.
Take your time. You know what I'm saying? Take your time. There you go. Strategize. Develop a plan of attack for every aspect, from when you're going to post on social media. I strategize when I'm going to post on social media, if a song is coming out, how we're going to, I mean, everything, you know, and you need to strategize with your budget too.
That's right. That's right. I do see a question. I
hope I answered your question.
You did. There's a question in the room, but I want to elaborate on that, Tony. It's kind of like you know, we have artists that comes to us and we try to help them with that strategy process too. We'll tell them, like, look, you know, you're getting they come to us, hey, I got a song, you know, I want you guys to do a beat, you know, for it, or I got an album, you know, idea. I just need some producers. The first question we ask them, hey, what's your goal with this? What's your goal? What are you trying to do? You know, all right. Second question, do you have a budget to do this? Because I mean, we got families, man. We can't do this for you for free, right? So we're gonna charge you, you know, but we can help you out if we know what your budget is, right? We can help you maximize the budget you have, right? And then just like you're saying, Tony, it's like that strategy. It's kind of like, hey, look, don't just think about your song and then you get it, you know, mixed and mastered or whatever, recorded, mixed and mastered. That's the easy part. The more challenging part is after it's done, all right, what time frame do you have to put it out? What's going to be your rollout process? and procedure. And what audience are you trying to hit? Do you have radio stations in mind? Are you doing it digitally? You know, are you doing both? You know, do you have graphics like you said, you alluded to? Do you have a picture for your stuff? All these things you have to think about. Do you have a budget for marketing and promoting this song or project? That's a biggie.
Yeah.
And that costs us just as much as your studio trying to get it done.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you before we get to the question, if I get calls from the major labels all the time. Hey Tony, we got a budget for Todd Delaney. Do you have any opportunities where we could do some commercial spots?
Perfect.
They have a budget. The E1, Ty Scott, Motown Gospel, Malico, they have budgets for each artist. And then I was asking a lot of the artists, some of the artists to come to our Shout Fest in October. couple of managers and promoters were like, well, they've exceeded their budget for that particular thing, so they may not be able to come. But
Bro,
they have a budget.
I'm glad you said that. So I operate in budgets and strategy, and I'll tell somebody quickly once I run out of my budget for this month, for that month, I'll tell them, hey man, look,
that's it. But
yeah, I've reached my budget for this month, but I have a brand new budget coming up. I can get with you at that point. That's how you got to communicate and build the relationships. You know, you have to pay your dues. But with a person that's prepared when the opportunity does come, man, they can walk right into that door. So, man, Tony, you dropping juice tonight, brother. So let's get to this question from NDA Mix. NDA Mix asks, streaming versus radio, which benefits the artist?
Both.
I was about to say same thing. I said, Tony, go to you. I don't think you can lose. The artist, it's like banks competing, and you can't lose.
Streaming is really, and I'm really learning a lot about streaming from a lot of people in the industry as I'm taking a streaming course about the DSTs and stuff. But both of them is going to benefit you. You can be successful without one or the other, but you will be more successful with both.
Yes, you are correct, especially in this day and age. NDA Mix, this is the time of the internet. This is the time of, you know, a lot of artists the internet opened up a big wide door where the opportunity now for you to put yourself out there is there, right? You can do it for almost little money at all, but you have to think in this mindset also, if you can do it, then your next door neighbor can do it too. Then that person's neighbor can do it, meaning now the market gets saturated with everybody trying to do it. Now, who's going to stand out? The person who took some time, some money, and strategy and put their thing together and present something nice and baked for you, or the person who might have threw it in the microwave for 30 seconds and just throw it out there? You have to ask yourself that question. So good question, NDA.
Here's another question. Another question Pierre asks. All right, what would you say was the number one thing Bizzle, the rapper, was able to accomplish as an independent artist for this long?
Bizzle not the only one either. Brian T. I don't know if y'all heard of Brian T.
I don't think I ever heard of him.
Oh, bro.
So Pierre, don't beat me up. I'm not. I haven't really studied a lot of Christian hip hop, and not because I don't like it. It's because my area, what I do, we don't do a lot of Christian hip hop. So I love Bizzle music, but I haven't really focused on what his ministry and what he's accomplished. So I have to be honest. I'm not going to paint any pictures like I know everything. You know what I'm saying?
I'll take a little step.
Guess.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go
ahead, Jake. Go ahead.
I'll just say he just, paid his dues and kept grinding. He knew what he wanted and he budgeted his money for whatever it is that he needed to get connections, and like Tony was talking about before, budget. So I say he planned it properly to stay where he is. So yeah.
But one thing I can remember about Bizzle is when I saw him at one of the interviews in the Stellas a couple of years ago, he stayed true to what God called him to do. He said he was he had been pulled to do a lot of different things. And even some people he was working with were saying, no, you don't need to do this. You need to do that. Or it'd be better if you did this. And he stayed true to what he felt his calling was. So I give much respect on that, man, because people are going to pull you in different directions and stuff like that. But you got to stay true, and you got to be able to say no to some folk. No, that's not me. I think I need to stay in this lane.
That's right. That's right. And I would say, besides Bizzle and people like Brian T and all the independent artists, they have kind of like the same foundational formula, right? You already have a knack of what you're good at in your demographical area. You already know what that area is like, and you probably, like Bizzle, probably have already established like some relationships with
Yeah.
local radio. Local radio is important, man.
Oh yeah.
I don't care who you are. Local radio is important. So
Oh
you
yeah,
do have to
definitely.
establish those relationships with the Tony D's of the world in your area, and you know, just keep working, keep grinding. Like JR said, it's easy nowadays because of the home studio, the rise of the home studio. It's easy to kind of get yourself a song or get yourself an album. That part is not as hard anymore as it used to be.
Yeah.
That's the easy part.
But I'm gonna say this too, and that's the worst part. And the reason why I say that, everybody isn't as skilled in technology as you guys.
Right.
I think I've said technology is the worst best thing that happened to us, because you got music that's dropping every day, and some of this music is not good just because you got a Mac or some KRK speakers and the Focusrite, you know, the keyboard, you know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah. So I still say I'm old school, man. I miss those big 79 channel mixing boards, and going to a studio and really getting it in and giving you good quality music that's not over modulated. They got
Yeah.
Let me talk about the mix real quick. Mix is important. There are some national artists that the mix is not good. I'm not going to say any names, but when you listening to the radio, I don't care if it's Christian hip hop or choir, quartet, I should be able to turn that radio on and not touch the volume at all.
Oh boy, you're going somewhere.
I should be able to listen to it here at my house. And okay, for instance, every Sunday when I'm creating a new artist profile, and I drag these MP3s and I'm looking at the waves, and some of these songs, it's no waves. I don't know what you call it, JJ. I don't know what you call that, the deviation, but it's just one solid bar going across.
That's the wave files.
It's no deviation. It's no dips. It's no. That's, to me, that song is too hot because it's going to come across on the radio, pegging in the red. Unless then what I've got to do when I play the song, I got to, because my master volume, I got to bring it down because it's an FCC violation if we're pegging in the red.
So what Tony's talking about, y'all, is dynamics. Musical dynamics. So when he's talking about the wave file that you see, when you have dips, peaks, that's the dynamic range in that song. That means you got loud parts, you got parts that's a little smoother. But if you don't have any dips, any peaks, right, that means it's like brick wall compressed, right? It's compressed so much that it can't go any louder. Now you can introduce distortion, even though when you put a compressor or a limiter on it like that, you can cut that top. But when you cut it so it won't go in the red, you also cutting your peaks. You're cutting, and if you look at a wave file, I don't want to get too technical, you slice the top of that peak of that wave, and that affects your sound, your overall sound. And so that's what he's talking about.
You'd be surprised. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, and to add to that, get you a master engineer.
Yeah, get somebody who know what they're doing with that.
And mix an engineer to do that stuff for you. Don't try to do that on your own if you don't know what you're doing.
You'd be surprised of some of the music we get from the labels that I put in, and I'm like, oh my God. And I have to actually, EQ it myself so it's a smooth blend, because on Friday nights when my MP3 goes into our program and I listen to it in my car, I want to hear a smooth transition across. You know what I'm saying? So that's important, man. And that can make or break whether or not your song is being played too. Now, let me say this. Everybody on the radio or everybody who owns a radio station may not need to be owning a radio station. Honestly, I'm just putting it out there. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't know these particular things that I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? So they're just going to put your song on the radio, But for somebody who, I was trained by people who ran me across the coals you
Wow.
know, and I was humble enough to receive it, you know, and it made me better. A lot of times artists don't take the critique well. I
Mm,
try I try very hard to critique or give advice with humility because I understand the creative process. And when you
right.
put your heart and soul in this song, you know, it's like Erica Badu said at the beginning of
I'm
Tyrone, hey,
sensitive.
sensitive about my music, you know what I'm saying? You know, I
Yeah.
get it. I am too. I have a little bass project that I do for fun, and I get it. But you have to be able to receive honest criticism about your
Yeah.
music. Go back to the drawing board and
Yeah.
try it again. Now, this is what I want to say, and I was going to say it on Facebook Live, but I'm glad we're here. Hopefully, I can. This will
Go
be a
ahead. Do it.
blessing to somebody. Don't call me or anybody else after you've mastered, mixed, and everything, and say, Tony, I need your opinion on this song. What do you think? That's the wrong time. It's already done,
Yeah.
right? You need to send me that song when it's the scratch copy or the demo or whatever you guys call it, and say, Tony, check. This is where I'm going. Do you think this is a radio ready single? It's not finished yet, but you know, I want to. That's when you could take my advice or somebody else. And then you could go back because it's not already mixed and mastered and all that. It's not. You could go back and make those final cut. It's not already on CD Baby and Distro Kid. I got so many
Right.
people asking me, Tony, let me hear what you think about my song and tell me what I need to do. Well, it's everywhere now. What you know? So if it's terrible, it's just gonna be terrible forever.
Yeah.
Once
It's out there
once you
now.
once you got it out there on CD baby, whatever, that's a wrap. Like you
Yeah,
can
It's out
you can
there.
go back and
Yeah.
try to change it. You must be gonna load it back up with a different name.
yeah. I
Same
mean,
song.
so again, and it's all because of the
Yeah.
excitement and the zeal. And I'm the same way. I'm the same way, even with my music, my jazz project I'm working on. You know, my manager's like, Tony, calm down a second, chill out. You know, because you're excited. I get it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm speaking to myself at the same time I'm speaking to you. But I get so many artists that I have to tell, I can't do nothing with this song. Well, what do I need to do to make it better? Well, nothing right now because it's completely done.
Yeah. That's true.
See, people like JR and myself, you know, who have access to the equipment, the software, and you know, and this is what we do. You know, we do it all the time. I might take a song and just bounce it to JR. Hey, JR, what you think about this? Because it's easy for me to just go back in and make the adjustment or
Hmm.
change something. Hey, you think this is too reverb? You think this is, you know, how's the EQ on this? And we kind of bounce back and forth, you know, and that's just the blessing in what we do. But I would echo Tony, you know, hey, you might need to send it to a company like us or anybody that deals with music on that level
Yeah.
to get your stuff mixed correctly. That way you don't have to, you know, because what we tell artists when we after a mix, because we do it ours in phases. You have your recording phase, you have your mix phase, you have your mastering phase. In the first phase, you have your creation phase, creation. But after we mix a song, we give it to the artist and we say, hey, look, sit with this for 5 days and just listen to it, right?
Analyze.
Whatever jumps out at you, if you have an issue with something, let us know. You know, if it's at a certain part, let us know the timestamp, and then we can go back and we can adjust it for you the way that you want to do it, you know, and that way everybody's happy. But my point is, we're giving them a chance and an opportunity to get that right because once we pass this phase, that's it. We're gonna charge you to go back if we got to go back in this phase.
Right.
So take your time. You know, that's a whole topic in itself. You know, music quality, and it's important. And I think if you're not apt in that department, get it to somebody who is, and
Yes.
that way you save a lot of time.
Yes. Yes. I totally agree. Um, one other thing I wanted to say is another way that artists can be successful is to understand radio. I alluded to it a little bit earlier that
Yeah,
you know radio is in the business to make money. It's not in the
that's right.
business to it's to break artists. Radio uses artists' music
That's right.
to lure in listeners. The more
That's right.
listeners that the radio station gets, the more opportunity that the radio station can have advertising time, right? So they lure it. Now you ask her, and I didn't understand this until I became a programmer. I used to be like, how come I keep hearing the same songs over and over and over?
Exactly.
Well, that is a strategy from radio stations across the country, and it was really made famous by Radio One
Mm.
because they did a poll and they said that the listener wanted to hear these favorite artists over and over again. They
Over
wanted
and
to
over.
hear it again. They wanted to hear Kirk Franklin sing Stomp 50, 11 times a day,
That's
right?
right.
Then also, too, you don't spend a lot of time in your car. So you're in and out. You're in and out. People are
That's a
in and
certain
out
point. Yeah.
the shopping. They come. So if they missed it, they'll get to hear it again, right?
Hmm.
So those songs have to be a pillar of the radio station so that the listeners will stay, so that those people who buy advertisements will get their business, their advertisement heard. Now, a wise radio programmer like myself and others, Jerry Smith and Jerry Silvers and others out there who helped to train me, you can infiltrate those independent songs in between a
Hmm.
national song. I'm gonna sandwich this week in between Love, Peace, and Happiness by Maurice Griffin, and then on the bottom of that, I'm gonna have uh, Chantel Norman Beatty, Jesus Will Fix It. But I'm gonna put Gabriel Ori in the middle. You
That's
see what I'm
right.
saying? So it's a strategy. So you got to understand radio. You have to understand what happens within 60 minutes or the whole day of radio. And if the artists understand radio, then it won't be so much of a disappointment when the radio says, well, we can't add you to this time, or we can't play it here, or whatever, or your intro needs to be shorter. You understand why. It's not we're just telling you no. People have sent me great songs, but the introduction is 20 minutes, 20 seconds long. 20
Yep.
seconds before you say
Jeez.
anything. Come on. You know,
They need to give you a radio mix.
but being a bass player, I love instrumentation. I love the horns. I love all that stuff. I love it. But for radio, that's not going to work. Don't get in your feelings when we tell you got to cut your song down, because a song on the radio is just a 3-minute commercial.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. You have to think of your song being a commercial,
Mhm.
because what's going to happen? That song, that if they like it, where they're going to go? They're going to go to CD Baby. They're going to go to iTunes. They're going to
That's
go
right.
to Spotify to download that song, or possibly your whole project. So and then they could be pleasantly surprised when they go to the digital outlets and be like, oh, I'm gonna tell you a perfect song. His Love by the Clark Sisters featuring Snoop Dogg is I don't remember exact time, but it might be 3 minutes and 50 seconds on the radio. That's a 4-minute and 18-second song, because there's 2 verses in it. There's a second verse that we never hear on the radio edit.
Right. Right.
So when I went to the radio, when I went to listen to it on Spotify, just in the house one day chilling, I was like, oh, Dorinda says another verse.
Wow.
But are they mad? No, because radio stations are playing that song across the country.
So
Actually, you know what I'm saying?
in the last couple minutes we got, what do you have anything else that you're working on right now? Any artists, anything you want to shout out to people?
I want to shout out one of the artists I'm working with today. Her song sits at #1. Her name is Felicia Welch. She's with DeMac Entertainment, a label I work with out of Chicago, Illinois. It's her first #1 and their first #1 on the gospel internet. So prayerfully, if she maintains that position on Monday, she'll be officially #1. So shout out to her. Also, I've had 3 #1 songs within the last 4 months that we worked on the gospel internet. We've had songs get to in the 100s on the gospel airplay chart.
Wow.
Shout out to Resurrection, Erica Mason. Their song Chains hit #1 on the internet chart. T-Rex, his song The Storm hit #1 on the internet chart, and Byron Walker featuring Ernest Pugh, the single Send Me hit #1 on the internet chart. That's our company, Christian Sounds Entertainment Services, the gospel internet radio and terrestrial. And a lot of people say, oh, internet radio ain't important. That chart is not important. You tell those artists who just got #1s, and Felicia Welch today, her song is #1, and it's not important.
Man, that's y'all heard it from Tony D. Shout out to everybody that he shouted out. Tony, how can you be reached, man?
Man, just hit me up on Facebook, Tony D on the radio, or my official page, Dallas A. Frazier, or you can visit my website, thenewartistprofile.com. Follow me on Twitter. I'm Tony D 947, or Instagram, Tony D NAP. Inbox me, man. I like to communicate and talk. I'm a very approachable man because I just love what I do and helping independent artists. I'll give advice. I don't even charge for a lot of the advice I give. Sometimes I do, but a lot of times I just share nuggets, man, because God give it to me, and I feel like it's a disservice if I keep it to myself.
Man, wise words from you, brother. And Tony will do it because when I came out with my song in May this year, Tony just went and hit me up like, "Yo, bro, I just want to share this video, man. Hey, I just want to share this joint," and I appreciate you for that, man. That really blessed me, man. It kind of introduced me to some people in your audience, and from there, man, we've been rocking it ever since. So, Tony D, the myth, the legend, the man. Appreciate you, brother, for coming on with us tonight. I know JR's battery died because
Let me shout out.
Go ahead.
Let me shout out. I guess I shout out my manager Timberland Atkins with Tag Entertainment. She does a great job at helping keeping me straight with all my dates and appointments and remembering things. So shout out to Timberland Atkins. I appreciate. She's Tag Entertainment. She's a great PR company. You definitely want to make sure you link with her. They will definitely help you out.
That's what's up. So look, I'm Gabriel Ori from Timeless Sounds. My business partner JR, his battery died, but it's all good. This has been another episode, epic episode of As a Producer. You know, if you didn't check it out tonight, you know, you can catch it on the replay. You know, follow us at As a Producer, follow us at Timeless Sounds, you know, and check out what we got going on. You know, we are linked in with people like Tony D. So if you want to connect with people like Tony D, you know, Jason, we know some people as well, so we can plug you into these guys, these good God-fearing men, to help get your music and your craft and your brand out to more places. So, JR, you back?
I forgot to click the camera on the computer.
Okay. Anything you want to say, Jay? Because I'm done. This freezing screen of death.
So much, man, for coming.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it again. It's an honor to be here with you guys.
Well, that's what's up. That's been this episode of As a Producer, y'all. Peace, Tony.